All right, what's going on, guys? It's Trader here, and today we have a packed show for you on the Recruiting Hawgs podcast. Missing the usual co-host Mason Choate. We recorded this last week, didn't quite get the episode up in time just because of some technical difficulties, didn't work out with the schedule. But fantastic hoop segment with our guy Jackson Collier, JC Hoops, over at HawgBeat.com, as well as an interview with 2023 Razorback commit TJ Metcalf, safety out of Alabama. Great interview with him. A lot of insight into who he is as a person as well as a player, what he's going to bring to the team, even maybe potentially as a true freshman. So you're not going to want to miss that one. But first, there was some news that prevented me from just being able to put this out as is from last week, and that is the decommitment of 2024 running back out of Benton now. He was at Lakeside last year, now at Benton County or Benton High School rather, and he decommitted from Arkansas. Rivals250 running back, in-state kid that committed last year after the Mississippi State game. Talk a little bit about it over at HawgBeat.com. There's an article up on Rivals.com where we talk about the sting factor. I don't want to run too much on this because I know we are going to talk about it next week. But it's a big loss for the Razorbacks. But if you can suffer a loss like that at any position, it's going to be running back for the Razorbacks, already one of the best unit groups in the country. And you're bringing in a guy in Isaiah Augustave next year who's dominating the high school game, even in a tandem with another 5.8 four-star back. So big loss, yes. And I really think the big impact here is going to come on the front of some other recruits. Not quite sure why he decommitted at this time. Looks like he's trending potentially to Ole Miss. Also has a Tennessee offer. Sure, he's going to add a couple more here over the next couple of weeks. Close friends with Walker White and Charleston Collins, who we talked about last week, is a big name, is someone that Arkansas is really targeting. And if those three kind of team up elsewhere, that's a big loss and a big kind of mark against Sam Pittman as he's really been good about locking down the in-state talent here. That is all we're going to talk about, that Braylen Russell decommitment right now, but we are going to get into that hoop segment. We'll have more on it next week, I'm sure. We've got the hoop segment with JC. We've got the interview with TJ Metcalf even later, so stick around. You're not going to want to miss it. Once again, I'm Alex Trader. Go check out HawgBeat.com, and without further ado, let's get into the show. It's Trader here, joined special guest JC Hoops. This is a little bit late on the episode, but I promise it's worth it. You get some basketball recruiting info. The main man, Mason Choate, is out today, but you've got Jackson, you've got myself, and you've got an interview with 2023 safety commit, high 3-star out of Pinson Valley High School in Alabama, TJ Metcalf. We talked a little bit about why he committed to Arkansas, learn a little bit about him as a person, as well as a player. He talks about what it would mean to him to play with his brother, and then also just what his relationship's like with the staff, what drew him to Fayetteville. Great interview there. I'm very excited for you guys to see that. But first, Jackson, how are you doing? I guess I should probably ask that.
Man, for the most part, I'm doing well. This semester is kind of kicking my butt, but I'm kind of rolling with the punches and seeing what all I can get out of it.
Yeah, amen to that. We did a podcast earlier in the summer with Layden Blocker. We don't have a basketball guest today, but there were three pretty important basketball visitors on the Hill this weekend: Bay Fall, Asan Diop, and then Parker Jefferson. So could you talk a little bit about, I guess, just break down how those three visits went from what you've been hearing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I talked to Parker directly. And for those who don't know, both of Parker's parents were Razorbacks. His mother was a women's Razorback basketball player. His father was a letter winner in football for the Razorbacks, I think in the late 90s. So definitely some ties there. Parker's from Texas. He is a 6'10", power forward center type, very athletic, very large, like height and size and build. Really good players in the class of 2025. Currently not ranked in the Rivals database on the class of 2025 because so far I think there's only 30 or 40 ranked in that class. Definitely don't expect that to stay very long. Parker is very skilled, very talented. In my mind, he's at this stage of the process, he's one of the more gifted big men in the 2025 class. Obviously that's a ways away. it's pretty early in his process. I exchanged some messages with Parker after his visit, asking him how the visit went and all that, and why he was visiting school so early. I think he's on his 4th or 5th unofficial visit so far. And he was blown away by Fayetteville, really loved getting to see practices. The basketball practices, loved the football environment. So his parents loved being back in Fayetteville, obviously. And as far as getting on his visit so early, he wanted to start building relationships with coaches, and forming those bonds and that rapport with different staffs early on, so that by the time it came crunch time, he's familiar with a majority, hopefully, of his teams that are recruiting him. So he was a real pleasure to talk to. He's a guy to keep an eye on in the future. Obviously 2025, and we haven't even finished out the 2023 class yet. But as far as the 23 class goes, there's a duo there as well, Bayfall and Hassan Diop. They are cousins. Bayfall is a 5-star in the Rivals database. Hassan Diop is a 4-star. Both are big men. Probably both can play the 4 or 5, and Hassan can maybe even go down to a 3. It's a really long and tall stretch 3, depending on how he develops. But anyway, everything I've heard about their visit was that it went fantastic. They really enjoyed themselves. This is their 2nd official visit to Fayetteville. They initially planned on coming during the weekend of the Missouri State game, but postponed until the Alabama game. I think Bay is planning on taking one more visit, maybe to Auburn, and Hassan is completely done. At this point, I still am confident. I a while ago, I think even over the summer, maybe late July, early August, I put in future casts for both players to commit to Arkansas. I'm still confident in those future casts. I think both Hassan and Bay are Razorbacks before it's all said and done. And I wouldn't even be shocked if we see a commitment from them in the coming weeks, especially with Hassan being finished with his visits. I think he said he wasn't planning on taking any more, and Bay only having one more that he's anticipating. I interviewed, if anybody wants to go check out this article, I interviewed Hassan in depth, talked to him on the phone for close to an hour, have a full-length article on him on HawgBeat.com. You can just search his name, probably my name, and HawgBeat, and you can find the article. But his whole thing was that he wanted to talk to his family after each visit and after he completes all of his visits before making his final decision. I really do think that Arkansas is the place for both of them, though. I would be shocked if that wasn't the case. In other news for the 2023 class, Arkansas had a high priority target, Wesley Yates, commit to Washington. Yes, I think that was just yesterday. He's 5-star recruit, kind of one of those tweener guard wing kind of guys, very talented, very good basketball player. Arkansas had kind of pulled back a little bit late on his recruitment, especially after they landed Layden Blocker. It's not that they had completely, moved on from Yates. They still were in contact with them, still in his final group of teams and still in the mix. But I think the priority, once they landed a guard, especially as high of the caliber as Layden Blocker, their focus definitely shifted towards Bayfall, Hassan Diop, and Ron Holland. And speaking of Ron Holland, another name in the 23 class, that another 5-star, looking like he's going to wait until the spring to announce his decision as far as his commitment. And I haven't put a future cast in for Ron Holland anywhere yet. At this point, from everything I've heard right now, Arkansas is still a leader, but there are some other teams trying to make some ground. Texas is in the mix, UCLA is in the mix, Kentucky is in the mix. But right now, Arkansas still, from everything I've talked to with my sources and from Texas and from people in the know, it seems like Arkansas still is the favorite to land Ron Holland. And if everything at this point, I guess, works out like I think it will. Arkansas is looking like a four-man class in 2023 with Layden Blocker, Hassan Diop, Bay Fall, and Ron Holland, if everything were to end today. And that would more than likely end up in another top 10 recruiting class, which would be Muss's third top 10 recruiting class since he got here, because 2020 was a top 10 class, 2022 was a top 10 class, and then 2023 would also be a top 10 class.
One name you didn't mention there, Zayden High, I believe, also included Arkansas in his top 5 a couple days ago. Where do you think the Hogs are at with him?
So he's one of those guys where he kind of exploded in the middle of the summer out of nowhere. He was unranked, and after a couple of the live periods, jumped up. He was unranked on Rivals and on other recruiting databases. I think he was deep in the 300s or 400s, or also unranked. And then out of nowhere, after a couple live periods, he jumped all the way up to like number 30, number 40. And then after the most recent rankings, I think he dropped back to 46. So he came out of nowhere seemingly over the summer, and he cemented himself as a very high 4-star in the Rivals rankings. And, when he did that, a lot of teams came calling. Essentially, Arkansas, still in the mix, probably has pulled back from that initial explosion when he first blew up in the rankings, but also in a fairly good spot with him. But personally, I think if UNC is serious about their interest in him, I think UNC is the favorite there. Also, Texas is in play, Arkansas is in play. At this point, I wouldn't necessarily expect Zayden to commit to Arkansas, but never say never with Muss. If they feel like they want someone bad enough, they can get almost anyone they want. Since we're talking about Zayden High and the state of Texas in general, 2024 has another recruit that's been, really prioritized by the staff, Dink Pate. Yes, his name is Dink Pate, D-I-N-K. Very talented guard, can play anywhere from 1 through 3, maybe even 4. Tall, lanky shooter. 5-star on Rivals right now for the class of 2024. I think he's ranked number 18 in the 2024 class. I have another interview. I had an interview with him and another full-length article on him. He's very interested in Arkansas. Arkansas is very interested in him. He's a name to keep an eye on for the 2024 class. Obviously, staff hadn't even finished with the 2023 class yet, so still a little bit in the future. But if we're just talking for names to look out for in 2024, also got to include Jace Richardson, also have to include Honor Boating, also have to include some other names, maybe David Castillo and some others, but bunch of good options there in the 2024 class. I'm thinking, like I said, I think the 2023 class is going to wrap up with that 4-man class with Holland, Blocker, Fall, and Diop, and then we'll look towards 2024.
Yeah, so one thing you mentioned there that I think is really important for Razorback fans, and it is, something that's talked about a lot, but Eric Musselman's been able to walk into almost any high school, any living room in the country and say, hey, I want your son to come play for me. And there's a pretty good chance that they're going to go ahead and accept that possibility. What is it? The football team's recruiting well, but how incredible and different is it to see what Eric Musselman's staff has been able to do in basketball?
It really is a complete shift from what we saw under Mike Anderson. Mike Anderson landed some high-level talent, but those were typically some of the in-state guys, and they weren't all the in-state guys. Whereas, the 2020 class that Eric Musselman landed, that was the number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 player in-state. Whereas Mike Anderson, certain years, he would land the number 1 guy and miss on the number 2, number 3, or he'd land the number 3 guy and miss on number 1, or so and so. He didn't always secure all of the talent in state, or even the best in-state talent. And on top of that, what Eric and his staff have been able to do is recruit outside of the border. So Jordan Walsh and Anthony Black, 5-star recruits, McDonald All-Americans from the state of Texas. He's since transferred, but Chance Moore was a 4-star out of Georgia that must manage to land. Barry Dunning is the Gatorade Player of the Year, 4-star recruit out of the state of Alabama. And then when you look towards 2023, Bay Fall and Hassan Diop in Colorado. Ron Hollins at Duncanville, Texas, where Anthony Black played high school basketball. Looking at 2024, Jace Richardson is in Nevada/California. You have Dink Payton, Texas. You have Parker Jefferson in the 2025 class in Texas. So, on top of all that, you've also tried to establish a pipeline with Oklahoma. And you have all these border states, and even all the way out in California, Nevada, all these different states. So what he's doing really well is not only securing the border around Arkansas, but he's reaching out and he's grabbing top level talent using his connections from however many decades in the coaching industry that he's formed. Jace Richardson is the son of Jason Richardson, the NBA All-Star that he coached as the head coach at Golden State. I have 2 articles on Jace, and one of them is on Jace alone as a recruit. Another one is on Muss's relationship and Keith Smart's relationship with the Richardson family. I don't know how many people realize this, but Keith Smart, his wife, planned the baby shower for Jace Richardson, who is now a 2024 recruit. He was initially a 5-star. Has been kind of sidelined with an injury for a while, but having the footprint he does in the sport of basketball, having as many connections as he does, and then also having, tangible success, having NBA experience, and then hiring a good staff and being able to, I think the biggest thing that recruits are impressed by is the entire staff's ability to break down every single aspect of their game, and upon an official visit, be able to explain what they need to work on, what they're good at, and where they are in their game in terms of professional prospects, whether that be NBA, Europe, whatever. This staff does an insanely good job at marketing the program and also being able to tell prospects and recruits and stuff where they are objectively and how they plan on developing them and getting them to the next level.
Yeah, and that's something that Arkansas seems like they're going to be able to do this season. You're bringing in a couple really, really talented guys, and a lot of guys who wouldn't have come to Arkansas over the past couple of years. You're seeing guys take that leap of faith to Sam Pittman because of what he's selling as a culture, as a family, and as a potential destination where you can go and win and then make it to the NFL. In fact, I talked to someone who visited this weekend, a linebacker out of California who has a cousin in Arkansas, has been here a couple of times. And he, I asked him about what he thought of what the Hogs have been able to do with Drew Sanders. I asked him before, what do you think of 3 guys being able to go out and get 100 tackles at the linebacker position? And both times he said it's really a testament to the versatility of what they're able to do. He looks at a guy like Drew Sanders and sees himself. That's a huge selling point for the Razorbacks, and getting that high-end talent is going to help. And it's certainly helping in terms of basketball. I think there were 5 Razorback players that were mocked in the top 50 picks for this upcoming draft the other day. That's crazy.
Yeah, depending on whatever site you use, I think there was upwards of 5 across all different draft boards or mock draft boards for the upcoming class. You had Nick Smith projected in there, obviously Anthony Black, Jordan Walsh at one point, Trevor Brazil. So that's 4 that I think were projected in the top 50. And I can't remember exactly where Ricky Council was even projected, whether that was top 50 or still in the first 2 rounds, but you had 5 at least projected to be drafted in the NBA draft. And, that's something that's rare for a lot of programs to have that many players even projected. Whereas I think Arkansas very well could get 3 first-round draft picks this season. And people will look to Kentucky, and I don't know kind of the sentiment of the general college basketball public, but, in some sense, it feels like Carolina, Duke, Kentucky have kind of normalized the the multiple first round draft picks out of a single class. But the fact is it's rare. Yeah, outside of those three schools, that does not really happen at all, where you have multiple first round NBA draft picks. And thanks to Eric Musselman, thanks to the staff and their development, their recruiting, everything, Arkansas look like they're in the mix to be in that elite company of we're going to start producing multiple first round draft picks. They already took the first step. They had the first one and done in program history in Moses Moody. And not only was he a one and done, but he was a one and done that went to the NBA lottery. So now the next step is, okay, well, how many can we get multiple players in the lottery? Can we get Nick Smith and Anthony Black or Walsh in the lottery together? Can we get multiple first round draft picks together out of the same class? And it's looking like they will.
Yeah, and so we're going to switch over to football now, but that's all stuff that is very pitchable. If you're talking about going into a living room and saying, hey, I want to make your son a first round pick, all he has to do is come to Fayetteville. And it's seeming like that's starting to become the trend, and you have those future casts in, you're feeling confident about some other prospects. All great stuff on the basketball recruiting front. Looking at football, I already talked a little bit about Noah McCott. I'm going to keep it pretty short because we do have a great interview with 2023 safety commit TJ Metcalf coming up, but talked about him. Also got to talk to Quentin Murphy, who was at the game Saturday. He's a quarterback out of Little Rock Robinson, has already picked up, almost 10 Power 5 offers. As a sophomore, is going out killing it to start the season. And he said, I look up to what KJ Jefferson does. I grew up a Hog fan. He said we a couple times. So that's something that, not everybody picks up on, but it's something I looked at it as, Arkansas has got a legitimate chance with this kid. And that's what you want to see out of in-state talent. And not rated yet. There's only 100 players rated by Rivals in that 2025 class, but he's one that I'm certainly expecting to see, high 3-star, 4-star, potentially even cracking up into that borderline, top 75, 50 players. Based on the film that I've seen, he's got a cannon, has great legs, is able to make good decisions in terms of when to pass it, when to run it. I'm excited to see how he develops over the next couple of years. Also in-state was the subject of our preps preview last week, the marquee matchup. Charleston Collins dominated the game that I watched. Went out there, looked like the biggest one on the field. You could clearly tell that he was now a 4-star by Rivals. Took a little while, but him, TJ Lindsey, both picked up ratings as in-state prospects. He's a 4-star. That's a big, target for Sam Pittman's group. I'm expecting him to be in the Rivals 250 comfortably in the next update. And he seems to, be looking at Arkansas as a serious contender, despite an offer from Alabama. Was wearing Ole Miss gloves the other night. I asked him about it, said it wasn't a big deal. Just he didn't have white gloves from Arkansas. Was looking to get them when he went to town Saturday. I was at the game, and it seemed going into halftime before that Arkansas score like it was a dead weekend. You had all these top recruits in, I think 30 recruits coming to town, and it seemed like all the air was taken out of any sale that you could have had with these kids. They fought back, and talking to Collins beforehand, all he wanted to see was Arkansas showing that they're not that same old program that he's seen for the last couple of years that's not been able to get up off the mat and even compete with Alabama. Still kind of got blown out, but that third quarter really did go a long way in terms of showing potential recruits that Arkansas is different. It's a different program. It's a different feel. The culture was a big thing that I heard about from these recruits this weekend. So you're going to hear more about how the visit went from TJ Metcalf here in a second. Jackson, I do want to give you the opportunity. Thank you for coming on. It's not too often we get to hear from you. I do want to know, is there anything you have cooking up that we should keep an eye out for as the Recruiting Hawgs podcast?
Well, I have a few articles that I'm working on that I think people are going to enjoy. So keep an eye out on those. And then as basketball comes around, definitely have some surprises in store for you. So everything's focused on football right now. Obviously some basketball recruiting and stuff, but during the weeks, maybe even a bye week or something, keep an eye out some of the articles I have coming out. But I think y'all are going to like those. And then basketball season rolls around, got some big surprises for you.
All right, go ahead and follow Jackson on Twitter. Follow the Arkansas Rivals Twitter account. Subscribe to the HawgBeat YouTube channel. Check out HawgBeat.com. Like he said, great stuff going up. Basketball, some baseball news coming out recently, and then football coverage you're not going to find better anywhere else. All the Arkansas major sports. Sometimes we even sprinkle in some of the non-major sports. So it's a great time to be an Arkansas sports fan, and you can fully experience the best of that over at HawgBeat.com. We're about to get into our interview with TJ Metcalf. Jackson, thank you for joining us. And let's transition over to that now. All right, we're now joined by 2023 high three-star safety commit out of Pinson Valley High School in Alabama, TJ Metcalf. TJ, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Doing well. Thank you for asking. And thank you for coming on the podcast. It's always great to have recruits on as guests. And today we're going to talk plenty of football, trust me. But first, I think it is important that our listeners get to know a little bit about TJ Metcalf, the person, as well as the player. So what are some things outside of football that you like to do for fun?
Really like to be around my family, friends, just have a good time with them. Just trying to, spend, the most time I got outside of football, because it take most of my day up. But, just try to be around them much as possible. I have time to myself. I like to, watch movies or study football, perfect my craft. So,
What's your favorite movie?
really anything to do with like a Marvel movie or a DC movie. I like Superman, Captain America, all that. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm in that same boat. What's
Yeah.
one thing you'd love to do one day, but you just haven't been able to do it yet?
You repeat that?
What's one thing you'd love to do someday, but you just haven't been able to do it yet?
Play in the NFL. Yeah.
Yeah, I should have expected that. You mentioned your family. What are some of the things you consider most important to you?
My family, the time that I got, sleep, uh, school, football, stuff like that.
Growing up, everyone goes through the phases of, I want to do this when I get older. This is my dream job. Mine was to be a meteorologist. That was very short-lived. What was the dream job for you?
Besides playing pro football, it was to be around something with like food, like culinary arts and stuff like that. Not like a big time chef, but just someone who likes to cook food on a downtime and make creative ways out of food that some people don't do and something they enjoy.
Who's your biggest role model?
My parents. Yeah.
So shifting gears more into the football aspect of things, what was it about Arkansas that made you want to commit here?
Really just the people, the coaches, the school itself, really, in the recruiting process, before all this, I didn't really know too much about Arkansas, but then I got, started to get offers and started rolling in. Arkansas was one of the schools that kept in touch, constant communication. Every time I visited up there, I seen that, a lot of folks said that Fayetteville and Arkansas don't really have a lot of stuff, and it's like a dead city. But once you really get there, it's the complete opposite. It has everything you can ask for. It's a great city, great state. The campus is amazing, and I like everything about it.
What do you think of Coach Bowman? It's his first year on the job. He was, your lead recruiter. What do you think of what he's going to be able to do with this defensive back group, and then also him as a person?
He's a great person. I've got to be around him a lot. With this 2023 class he bringing in, I feel real confident, and what we're gonna be able to do. I feel like we're one of the best defensive back groups across the SEC as far as the 2023 class. He's done a lot of great things with his defensive backs. You got Jaden Catalan working him in his time there on number 3, Nudie, and all those other guys. They're gonna get their time to shine, and I feel like he's done a great job with them. And he just kept it real with me, and that's something I like. So he's a great person.
You've been back to campus a couple of times, most recently this past weekend. Could you just talk a little bit about how that visit went for you, and then also how you're feeling about this, how you're feeling about your decision now, a couple months removed? You committed at the beginning of July.
Yeah. Actually, we got to the game around the time when it started. We had a football game that Friday. Got in a little late, but as far as the game went, I like some of the stuff I saw. I told Coach Pittman is that it's definitely some stuff that we can clean up on, and that's why he got this 2023 class coming in. Potentially be some key players to the team. As far as the defensive back group, it's a lot of players injured, got nags and injuries, and that's where I come in. Play as a freshman, get my time to shine. And as far as the game went, it was a tough L, but I saw some things that we could take pride of going to during the season. Like the third quarter we had, it was a big push for us. We just got to finish. So I don't think it affect nothing to do with my decision and stuff like that. So I'm still strong.
I'm glad you mentioned it there. Your Pinson Valley team has done really well to start the season. How's that season been like for you? How are you doing individually?
It's funny you asked that. I feel like my senior year is. I feel like I'm doing a great job, but it's noticeable when offenses try to stay away from you since you're the big name guy and you're a good player. But I got some plays on offense as well. Every time I get the ball, it's either first down or I'm scoring a touchdown, and that's something I've been wanting to do since I've been in high school, and I got the chance to do it. And I just feel like it's going great. I think we about 5-1, 4-1, something like that. 6-1, something like that. So we're doing a great job. I just want to lead this team to a state championship. So
coming into the season, you were a name that didn't quite make the leap to 4-star status by Rivals rankings. I was really confused about. Kind of surprised to see that. What do you think of being held at a 3-star rating, and is that something you're kind of expecting to change now after your strong start to the season?
I expected to change, but I haven't really been, focusing on that too much. Ever since they rated me a 3-star, I was confused on why they did that. But I feel like I should be 4 or 5 higher, But I don't know if they're doing their job, but it's kind of disrespectful for me. But I don't really pay it no mind. I know I play better than what a 3-star is expected to play like. So, just play above all that.
Another 3-star on your team is your brother, actually, who also holds an Arkansas offer. For those who don't know, he's been tearing it up this season as well. What's your recruitment pitch been to him? Have you been trying to recruit him to come play with you?
Well, he been on mostly every visit to Arkansas that I've been to, except for the game against Bama. But it's really up to him. But he got his big brother going to play Arkansas. That's a big pull itself. I've been telling him to go and take as many of your visits as you want to. It's your time for his recruitment process. You got to enjoy it. I don't just want him to be solely on Arkansas because I know there's going to be a lot more schools trying to come in, and he got to see what he like. But, of course, I want to play with him at the next level. So that's what I get in.
Who do you model your game after?
Jamal Adams.
Yeah, that's a good one to look up to.
Yeah.
So this is the last one here. I really appreciate the time, but if people were only able to hear this one answer, they shorten it down. This is all they're able to catch of this podcast. How would you sell yourself to the Razorback faithful? What kind of player, and then more importantly, what kind of person are they getting when you step foot in Fayetteville, and then over the next 3 to 5 years that you're here?
I'm really willing to work hard, strong competitive. I don't like to lose, but I take my lessons and improve with them. Got a great attitude, mindset. I feel like that's what keeps me going. Is my mindset. I'm always, thinking positive. Very smart on the football field. Any offensive defense you throw at me, I know where to counter it or help it out. Fast, got great hands. IQ level is very high. Kind of player. Feel like I'm a great kid. Like I said, I'm smart. Great people's person. Try not to, try not to let all the hype, get around me. I try to stay down to earth and humble. So that's it.
Awesome. Well, you heard it there. That is TJ Metcalf, 2023 safety commit for the Arkansas Razorbacks. I'm expecting to see his star rating move up from a high 3-star to a 4-star in the next update. I think you were actually picked as like the last name out by one of the analysts. So that's an honor in of itself. Keep doing what you've been doing this season. You can check out his games over on the Preps preview. I have links to the Pinson Valley games every week, so go check that out as well. TJ, thank you for joining us, and I'm excited to see you in Fayetteville next year.
Yep, thanks for having me.